Hello. So it's Memorial Day in Israel, and it is a very sad day for basically all Israelis. Every Israeli family have at least one member of the family or a friend of the family that either died in some war or in some terror attack, or was injured or was influenced by such attack or some war. I have family members that died in the war, but I also have some friends that died in the war that I miss them dearly, and I want to tell you about them today. Alec Baltel was a good friend of mine in school, and we grew up together in Hadera, in a city in North Israel, and we were together in elementary school. At that time, elementary school in Israel was 8 years, and there was no junior high school, so they will go immediately after 8 years of elementary school. You will go to 4 years of high school in Israel. They changed that after that to like in America, that you have elementary and junior high and then high school. At that time, it was still. So I was with him 8 years in elementary school, and we were good friends. He came to my house, I came to his house. I think the first time that I saw a computer was at his house, yes. And we were just playing, sometimes we were messing around and doing some stuff. But anyway, in high school, we met some other people, and we were not that close to one another, but we did know each other, so we did acknowledge one another. So he went to some infantry unit, and I went to the armed corporal, and he died in some sort of incident, which, by the way, up until today, it's kind of hard to understand exactly what happened, but apparently he got shot in the head and he died. And I was in his funeral, by the way. It was in 2000, I think. So all of my friends from elementary school were there, and it was actually very sad. So I miss him a lot, yes. So Benaya Ryan joined the army with me in March 1999 and to the Armed Corps. We did basic training together, and we finished all of the courses. He was one of the best soldier in the unit from the get-go, from the beginning. And so after he finished, we finished about maybe 6 months or 8 months, I forgot, of basic training. I was sent to the operational unit as a regular soldier, regular tank crewman, and he was sent to commander in school. And after that, after commander in school, I think that he went directly to officer schools, and from there he went back to officer schools, tank commanding school, basically. I mean, tank officer schools. He went there. So at that point, actually, I think that I met him. I don't remember, because what happened with me is that actually I went to 8 months of operational unit. I went to Lebanon to serve in South Lebanon, and then they sent me, afterwards they sent me to commandery school, and I flunked from commandery school for some stupid reason. So because I was in the guiding base anyhow, they had me shift to the officer course, but not as a cadet, but as a driver. They do it sometime that the commanders, the commanders actually, they are in a course. They study how to be a platoon, and even like platoon commander, basically, how to command a group of tanks in as a platoon, basically. or even as I would say battalion, maybe that would be the correct word. So they study how to do that. So they need drivers, and so some of them, so they need extra drivers because it's a bunch of tanks, and they actually they don't study how to walk a tank because they already know how to drive the tank and how to use the tank and how to command the tank. But now they study how to command a tank as a group, as a platoon. So I came there as a driver, and I'm pretty sure that I saw him because I saw a bunch of guys that joined the army with me actually, and they actually studied how to be officers, and I'm the guy that basically flunked from that. But it was totally okay. And I saw him. I didn't talk to him. I saw him one time when I was in Gaza, and his unit was already when he became an officer, they sent him to a different battalion, not the battalion that I belong to. So when we finish our duty in Gaza, the new unit of another corps of the tank corps, another battalion is coming to replace us. So there's maybe a day or two that they're doing kind of like how do you say it? They kind of like showing you this is here, this is here, this is here, this is here, and so I think that I saw him, and I think that I don't remember exactly, you know. But the thing is that when you know someone on such a deep level, if you see him again on something like this, you don't really get excited because you don't think it's something gonna happen. But that was probably the last time that I saw him. And a few years after that, I was already out of the army. He was an officer, so I think that he continued a bit more. And in 2006, August, there was the Second Lebanon War. And I was not involved in that war because I was already doing some other stuff. But he was called to that war as an officer, and he died over there trying to rescue other tanks that were hit by anti-tank rockets, and he actually died from an anti-tank rocket hitting them directly. So he died over there, and it was actually very, very sad, you know. Yes. So Tzul Zalchi was an officer in my unit, and I think that I met him for the first time when I got back to my unit after I was flunked from commander in school. And he was an officer, and I was one of the soldiers, but I wasn't one of the junior soldiers. I was already maybe in the middle. I was already a sergeant, and he was I think he was lieutenant or something like this. Anyhow, you know, people just talk and you do jobs. And he wasn't the commander of my tank, and I think that he wasn't even the commander in my platoon. He was a commander of a different tank in a different section of my. And I also think that the soldiers that he directly commanded were actually were a bit older than me. And I think that the first time that I had like really a lot of interaction with him was when we served in Samaria, in Shomron, which is an area north center of the West Bank, as they call it. And at that time there was a lot of terror attacks coming to Israel, bus exploding, restaurants exploding, terrorists coming from there. So our mission was to fight against terror. And he was one of the commanders that at that time we didn't fight using tanks. We were actually on jeeps. We were doing patrols on jeeps, and sometimes we were doing all sorts of tracks on foot, and also we were doing some sort of reconnaissance, just observing locations and also people, and then afterwards we also did some actual night watches that we were actually inside the woods on the mountain area, and we were observing, and actually we were actually fighting sometime with people that we thought that they were terrorists and actual terrorists. So I remember that we did one of those patrols, and we got back, and I remember that he was the commander of that patrol. So I remember what I remember. That's basically the only thing I remember of him, because it was more than 20 years ago. I remember that we were talking, and we got down from the jeep, and he's telling me, let's run for the something, and there was something we're supposed to get, so let's kind of like compete if we run against one another to something. I forgot what. There's something we're supposed to get or something like this, so let's compete. So we just ran together, with all the gear on us, and we just ran kind of like maybe 200 meters. At that time, running 200 meters with all the gear on you was not a big issue, because we were really in the prime of our fitness, because we were been walking and crouching and with gear on us on a daily basis. Even though we are tank men, we're not supposed to do that. We did that in Samaria. So anyhow, I don't have a lot of memories of him from after the service, but he was definitely afterwards serving with me in Gaza as well afterwards. I don't have a lot of memories. I didn't have any argument with him or something like this, as far as I remember. We did talk a lot about stuff, just friendly talks. In the Second Lebanon War, I was not there, but he was there, and apparently he was attacked from a mortar shell hitting the top of his tank, and he died from that. Yes. So Avram Goldstein was actually my grandmother's first husband, and they met at the forest somewhere in Poland or Belarus, that area, during the Holocaust. My grandmother, from my mother's side, Malka, she ran away from the ghetto, and she joined the partisans, and over there she met Abraham. Apparently they had a child, and he died in the forest, and when the war was over, they start to try to find their way to get out of there, and they went to Romania, Hungary, Austria, and then to Italy, and then finally in about 1947 he managed to come to Israel. If I'm not mistaken, my grandmother, she was able to find a way to get to the land of Israel before that, already in 1946. I think because she had a family member in the land of Israel, the British authority allowed her to get a certificate to get to the land of Israel. He got to the land of Israel only after that, but I think after November 1947, something like this, he came, and he was immediately recruited to the Israeli army, which was just assembled at that time from the Haganah. And as far as I understand, he was recruited to some force called the Chil HaMishmar, basically, which is a corps that is just for guarding. As far as I understand from what the story is that it was not one of the combat battalions. It was actually like a battalion that his job is just to guard, like skippers, just to guard areas basically. And over there, he fell. He was shot in a battle in the train station in Jerusalem. it was in May 19 in 1948, so just a few days after Israel was established, May 14. And he was buried in Sheikh Badr, and then it was moved to another place in Harar. Yes, it took some time until we find his grave anyhow. So he's not related to me. I mean, my grandmother afterward remarried and with my grandfather, and then she had my mother, and then I was born. Yes. So still I feel very attached to this person, and that he survived the Holocaust. He came to Israel, then he had the merit, the honor to die for the land. So even though it's kind of sad, but it's just that he managed to come to the land. You know, he managed to do it. You know, and of course then sadly he didn't have a lot of time to enjoy it, but he did it. You know, so I know that he felt that his life is fulfilled and full. Yes, we'll miss him.